Hey guys, welcome back to Wentworth Life and welcome to a brand new episode review. In today's video I am going to be taking a look at Wentworth Season 3, Episode 3, Knives Out. But before I jump straight into this, if this is your first time here, then please do not forget to hit that subscribe button as it really helps us out on the channel. Okay then, so this episode is quite a heavy Frankie Doyle episode. If you remember in the previous episode, Frankie got herself into some serious trouble when she lost all of the women's gear and Jodie ended up in the slot. Boomer had her hands steam pressed and Frankie lost Boomer as a friend. Now as soon as this episode begins, Frankie is brutally threatened by Tina, Cindy Lou and all of their crew. They pin Frankie down on the bench press and they press the weights down on top of Frankie's neck, telling her that she has 1 hour to honour her contract to get them their gear. It's a really intense opening scene. This crew was not messing around. So, for the most part of this episode that involves Frankie is mainly Frankie trying to score some fast drugs that she can give to Tina and Cindy Lou. Frankie learns that Juicy Lucy has a load of gear and tries to get some from her, but Juice tells Frankie that it's either triple the price or a sex session with Juice. Now, of course, this disgusts Frankie and it makes me feel a little bit ill as well, but she agrees to actually pay the money. But when Frankie does get the money from Boomer's cell, Juice arrives with her crew and they end up stealing the money off Frankie without giving her any gear. Now this makes Frankie's situation a million more times worse off. Frankie does end up getting King Chang to visit her to smuggle her in some money, but it's not nearly enough. In the end, Frankie decides to get herself slotted after being abusive to Vera and thinking that she's blown her parole. So Frankie, she goes into the library and she starts smashing it up in front of Bridget and some of the women and all of the officers, and then Frankie is then sent to the slot, which is what she wanted. I actually love the scene when Frankie is smashing up the library. It reminded me of the original Frankie Doyle when she loses her temper in the rec room. I think it was a nice little nod to Prisoner. While Frankie is asleep in the slot during the night time, things get a little bit freaky. Joan Ferguson comes to the slot and she ends up taking Jodie out and she takes her to like a secluded area of the prison in the middle of the night, and we hear Jodie crying and pleading for help, and we also hear the sounds of slaps. It's actually quite horrifying to listen to because we can't see what's going on, we can't see what's happening. It's all left to our own imaginations, which in my opinion it makes it even creepier. Frankie sees Jodie being brought back by Joan and she hears Jodie crying. Now the next day Frankie tries to tell Bridget and Linda about it, but nobody really wants to listen to her. They think Frankie's causing trouble. So Frankie is ended up out of the slot, and this is when Joan started getting real dark. Up until this point, we knew that Joan could be a very tough governor. We knew that she is dangerous, you know, when she had Fletcher run down, but this is a whole new other level and things just get darker from here on in regards to Joan Ferguson. With Frankie back in general, she ends up taking Juicy Lucy up on her offer to have a sex session. Now I am really glad that the writers kept the scene off the screens. I mean, just watching the aftermath of Frankie retching in the shower block was bad enough. However, now that Frankie has done the deed with Juice, when Tina and her crew arrive to, you know, teach Frankie a big lesson in the kitchen, Juice and the boys arrive and beat the crap out of Tina and the others, and Frankie gives Tina her cash back, calling it all quits. I must say, I did love the moment when Juice and her crew popped up and they were like Team Frankie for a moment. It's just such a shame that it cost Frankie a disgusting, vile session with Juice. This is also the very first time where we really get to see just how how gross and sex hungry that Juicy Lucy is, and this will only get worse as episodes and seasons go on. We do get some cool scenes between Frankie and Bridget, and they end up having their first official psych session. It's also the episode where we see Paint Me a Picture for the very first time, when Frankie basically tells Bridget that she wants to walk out of the prison where the whole prison is nothing but a pile of ashes, and she wants to be picked up by a hot girl in a hot car. Now, I've always loved this scene anyway, but what makes this scene, even more special is that this is the very moment where Bridget actually realized that she is in love with Frankie. Because if we quickly, just fast forward to season 6 just for a moment, Bridget tells Frankie this when they reminisce about when they first met. So I just love this moment so much. Poor Liz was having another crap episode when daughter Sophie comes back to visit Liz despite Liz telling her to stay away, but this time Sophie isn't quite so timid during this visit. Liz notices that Sophie has been drinking, and I can remember thinking to myself when I first saw the scene, I did say to my friend, I bet you any money that Sophie will be coming into Wentworth as a prisoner very soon, and I wasn't wrong. There is a scene where Liz calls Kay, and it seems that some sort of trouble is happening on the outside in regards to Sophie, but we don't actually get to know what is going on. All will be revealed in the next episode. But this is just the start of a much bigger storyline. Bea ends up getting the shock of her life in this episode when she ends up seeing Will Jackson being DNA tested, and Will ends up telling Bea all about the time where he went over to Harry's house and smashed up his van back in season 2. But an even bigger revelation is revealed when he ends up telling Bea that he was actually at Harry's house the same night where he was murdered. This does not look good for Will Jackson, and even Bea looks like that she's having some doubts there, and I really don't blame her. Speaking of Bea, there is a really intense scene between her and Frankie, where Frankie ends up telling Bea that she is nothing but a grim reaper because everyone around her ends up dead. This causes Bea to smack Frankie right in the face, and it's one hell of a smack. I love it. Now, first things first, Frankie deserved that slap. You do not talk to the top dog like that in any shape or form, and Frankie needed reminding of where her place is on the food chain. Also, Bea took it upon herself in this episode to sort out all of Frankie's debts, so a little bit of appreciation please, Frankie. Boomer was comedy gold in this episode. It's also the start of Boomer and Maxine's friendship. So Boomer learned a very painful, hard lesson last week, and her hands are very badly burnt, and basically they're out of order. So Boomer is struggling to do normal day-to-day things. There is a funny scene where Boomer is trying to light a cigarette, but she ends up dropping it onto the floor, and Boomer then crawls down onto her belly and tries to pick it back up with her mouth. Then later on, Bea tells Liz to look after Boomer and to basically shower her, but Boomer is not having any of it. Now, later on, when Boomer is trying to get undressed in the shower block alone, Maxine walks in on her and sees Boomer in a little bit of a struggle. Maxine ends up telling Boomer that she used to look after disabled people and that she can help. But Boomer still isn't keen on Maxine or anyone showering her, but Maxine forces Boomer into the shower and, basically tells her to stop being a silly girl. Now this is where we get a really nice scene where Maxine starts to wash Boomer's hair, and Boomer turns to Maxine and she asks her, "Why are you being so nice to me? Nobody is ever nice to Boomer." And Maxine says it's just what she does. Oh, this is just the start of a beautiful friendship. So, another solid episode, lots of storylines going on. It's really nice to see characters like Boomer get a bit more established into the H1 crew. Some horrifying moments with Frankie in this episode, and Nicole is just such a fantastic actress. My favourite part of this episode has to be Maxine giving Boomer that shower, and my least favourite moment would have to be Sophie's visit, just like last week's. I mean, I just find Sophie's character a little bit tedious and a little bit annoying. But now I would like to hear some of your thoughts on this episode. What did you guys think when you first saw this one? Were you horrified at the depths that Frankie had to go to? And were you freaked out when Joan Ferguson became a little bit freaky? Let me hear all of your thoughts in the comments box below. Okay then guys, well, thank you all for watching today's video. You were all amazing as usual. Make sure you smash that subscribe button, stay safe out there, and I will see you all again very, very soon.